Hey guys, I wanted to show you some information about the power blocks. A couple things I wanted to cover in this quick video is the first thing is how power blocks work if you're not familiar with them. So that's what I'll talk about in the first part of the video. In the second part of the video, I wanted to talk about how these power blocks, these are the Sport 9.0s, compare to some of the other power blocks in the same line, or the current line of power blocks. So those are the two things I want to make sure I let you guys know about. So the first one is how to use power blocks. So if you haven't seen power blocks before, basically you've got these weight plates, I guess, at the end here, and in order to adjust how many of those weight plates you pick up, you basically pull out this pin on the side and put it in the corresponding slot on the side, kind of like a stack of weights at the gym. Sorry, these are sideways, so it's a little bit hard to stick the pin in from this angle. But like I just put my weight pin underneath the white bar on the side, and if you look at the color coding here, the white bar on the side means 30 pounds. So if I pull this up, it should be 30 pounds. So pretty simple how it works. You notice that the other weights are left behind. Just to note that these work best on like a flat surface. They don't work as well on carpet. That's why I have the tray. They also work on like linoleum or tile or something like that, where you have a hard surface. Because if the surface is too soft, then it's hard to get the pin in straight because everything kind of shifts a little bit. So just one thing to note there. So that's how power blocks work in general, just by using this pin. A couple things about the pin. You'll notice it's attached by these little elastic cords here, which help it so that the pin can't really come out like on accident during an exercise unless you physically like pull it beyond the slots. So that's kind of a safety mechanism there. And the other thing is, in the pin is also a magnet built in, so once you hit here, you'll notice it's magnetized. So kind of two safety mechanisms there so that the pin is pretty nice and secure once you get it going. Okay, so one thing about this particular set of power blocks. This is the Sport 9.0 model, and what that means is this model has two features that some of the other power blocks don't. The first one is it's adjustable in 2.5 pound increments. Okay, so I know it's going to be hard to see on the video, but right here you have your color coding, which shows you the color of which bar you need to put the weight selector underneath in order to get that much weight. And then you can't see in the little corners probably, but there's little 2.5 pound increments. And in order to get these, you have these two tubes in your handle, which both contain a 2.5 pound adder weight. So I'm going to unlock those tubes by pushing the little switch on the top here, and I can dump those weights out. The handle by itself is 5 pounds, and then each adder weight is 2.5. So this is 5 pounds, 7.5 pounds, 10 pounds, and you want to like lock those in so they can't fall back out. So now I have a 10 pound weight, and I can put it in here, and you can add one stack of weights, which would make it a 20. Now if I took the pin out, and I took both of my adder weights out, and I did the same thing again, oops, put it in crooked, and I add one stack of weights, this is actually a 15 now. So you can see how the adder weights allow you to get the various increments. One problem with the 9.0s in particular with the adder weights, let me show you here. Each bar that I put the pin under actually contains two weight plates. So it's one thick bar attached to these two weight plates that are welded together. What this means is you're adding 10 pounds per weight plate. And because of that, and if you kind of do the math in your brain a little bit, what you lose with the 9.0s is you lose the ability to lift 12.5 pounds, 22.5 pounds, 32.5 pounds, and 42.5 pounds. So those are just not available because the thicker weight plates on here are a little bit inflexible. The reason the weight plates are a little thicker on the 9.0, oh geez, I'm fumbling. I'm gonna get flamed. The reason the weight plates are bigger on the 9.0 is because you'll notice I don't have many bars in the lower half of my weights, because the 9.0 model is expandable. So basically I would drop this whole handle into another set of weights, and I could then move my pin down and I can increment it all the way up to 90. The extra weights I think are like $240 to bring this up to 90 pounds per side. There's also a 120 pound weight. I think it's just a 40 pound weight. I think you can't go in increments between 90 and 120, but it can actually be upgraded all the way up to 120 pounds per side. Okay, so that's the basics of Powerblock and this Powerblock in specific. Now I want to talk about a couple accessories and different Powerblocks in this line. So the first thing is, you'll notice I got the sport tray here, which is the same thing as the top of one of the pedestals that you can put your Powerblocks on. It just doesn't include the stand. These are nice because it keeps it on a flat surface that makes it easier to put the pin in from the side than on, say, like a carpet. And a little bit of an angle, which may make it easier to pick up. There's also, this is the sport tray, there's also a larger size tray that includes 4 slots right here to actually fit your adder weights in, like that. But on this tray I actually have enough room to put the adder weights there anyway. The bigger tray would also allow you to upgrade the 9.0s without your weights hanging off the edge. But I don't plan on upgrading anytime soon, so this is good for me. Okay, so finally, the difference between some of the Powerblock lines. So there's a couple different lines of Powerblock, but in the basic line you have the 2.4 model, the 5.0 model, the 5.5 model, and the 9.0 model. So the 2.4 model is 24 pounds per hand, and they go up in 3-pound increments between 3 and 24 pounds, and those are the ones I actually exchanged for these bad boys today. I really like them because they take up less space and they're a lot easier to sort of maneuver, but if you need more than 24 pounds you sort of run out of options because they're not expandable. So those ones would be great for females or smaller folks who aren't ready to get into the bigger weights yet. Then you have the 5.0s, which they look pretty similar to this. The difference is they don't have the adder weight handle, so they only go in 5-pound increments. So each of these plates would be 5 pounds, and you can do between 5 and 50 pounds in 5-pound increments with the 5.0s, and they're not expandable. Then there's the 5.5s, which are similar to these. Again, actually they're probably more similar to the 5.0s, except they go up to 55 pounds and they have the adder weights. So really nice, you get actually 5 pounds more than you do out of the 9.0 as well with the 5.5s. The downside of the 5.5s is you can't upgrade them. Okay, and then finally you have the 9.0s, which are great because they're upgradable, but the downside is you lose 12.5, 22.5, you lose some of the weight increments. And because the plates are bigger, you're probably going to be using the adder weights more frequently than you would with the 5.5, which has the individual plates still. Okay, so those are some of the differences between the different lines. If you want to upgrade, it's a no-brainer which one to get. It's the Sport 9.0. It costs the same as the 5.5, so if you don't need more than 55 pounds, I would definitely go with the Sport 5.5. I will probably avoid the 5.0 unless you're really tight for money because it costs about $60 less than these. And I really like the 2.4. If the 24 pounds is enough weight for you, definitely go with that one because that one costs less than half as much as these guys. Okay, so if you guys have any questions, feel free to leave comments. I'd be happy to answer any. I know I fumbled with the pin a little bit. I'm going to get flamed for that. But anyways, a nice set of weights. Hopefully you guys got something useful out of this video. Hey guys, I wanted to show you some information about the Powerblocks. A couple things I wanted to cover in this quick video is, the first thing is how Powerblocks work if you're not familiar with them. So that's what I'll talk about in the first part of the video. In the second part of the video, I wanted to talk about how these Powerblocks, these are the Sport 9.0s, compare to some of the other Powerblocks in the same line, or the current line of Powerblocks. So those are the two things I want to make sure I let you guys know about. So the first one is how to use Powerblocks. So if you haven't seen Powerblocks before, basically you've got these weight plates, I guess, at the end here, and in order to adjust how many of those weight plates you pick up, you basically pull out this pin on the side and put it in the